Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there.
We hope everybody is doing well out there on this 11/11/2022.
It's a big day.
It is. It is. Please do subscribe if you haven't, so you could hopefully receive some notifications. Check on a daily basis, both EEARTS and also on Evolutionary Energy Arts. We did one up this morning, just a few, not long ago at all. And then we saw something else we wanted to share. And we were talking about Hurricane Nicole and a 7.3 in Tonga. And the way the power structure is, it's been demonetized. But then again, they're trying to drive everybody into economic submission.
It is. They really are. And that's just terrible.
But it is what it is. We are behind enemy lines here. And yet we have amazing help all around us. And this adorable gentleman is named Asher. He lives in Texas. And he has a penchant for taking photographs. He loves to photograph. And Asher has caught something that's caught a lot of people's eye.
He sure has. And it's something that you can see with your 3D eyes, but it's also something you can feel.
And so this is some more photos of Asher. You know, he has been born with Down syndrome. And he's definitely very special. You could just feel his energy. Of course, each one of us is special. Everyone is a special, unique aspect of Source. So he is a 7-year-old from Texas, given the gift of seeing his guardian angel, perhaps. Well, you could make up your mind on it. We're going to share it with you guys. So he had become fascinated with shooting photos, and it became a wonderful distraction during a turbulent flight home from visiting his older brother, who was in the service. When his mom browsed through all the shots that he had taken, she was amazed to find this one amongst the others. You can see a human-like shape in the clouds, appears to be focusing its energy towards the plane. They got home safely, another rescue from a guardian angel. And this is from Awaken with Angels, but we do have a video here that we'll link to. Since we don't have permission, you never know in this world, again, what is going to be a problem to show. But we will flash forward, and here you can see this is a depiction of what was outside of the airplane. And it was at a time when there was a storm. They were going through some turbulence. And he looked at his mother kind of worried, and, she was reassuring him. And then he took a photo outside the window, and there this was. So what do we have here? Now, in actuality, this does look very, very similar to what Cindy and I will encounter on a regular basis.
Right, that struck me like a ton of bricks. It's like, oh, wow, somebody actually did catch it on camera what these light beings look like and the magnitude of energy that they carry. Because if you look at this photo, what I got instantly is just rushes and rushes of chills. I call them truth bumps. People call them goosebumps, but chills nonetheless. And that's when you take away, you're able to take away the logic out of everything and just listen to the body, and then you know more about what's going on. This is definitely a guardian angel in this little boy's eyes, and I think it's a guardian angel, period.
And, again, I'll give you guys the link so you can watch it. Beautiful, heartwarming story, and here you can see Asher. He's just adorable. And he's so full of love and light, and he definitely feels like what we would call a star child. And his mom gave him an extra A in his name because of the extra chromosome. As you can see him with his dad there. He's got a great sense of humor. He's got a great energy. That's his brother who's in the service. And so he was visiting his brother when they got this photo. And again, this is not really uncommon. I wouldn't say this is uncommon at all. We've encountered so many different angelic beings, on a regular basis. And we were visited, I would say, a couple of times a week, especially when we were in New Mexico. We had a regular visitor from one particular angelic being that we named John. And just the other night, we had two that work with John that were visiting with us and helping us. When you realize these are beings that truly are in service to others. So when we go over what is truly an angel, it's somebody that just simply decides to be in service. That would be my definition.
Mm-hmm. We all come here with our own team. Generally, we come in with our dominant guide, our dominant angel, and that's possible that it can change. That can change throughout your life, but we all definitely have a being that's very much like this, that comes in when we are born and starts to give us guidance. And then little by little, we start to build an angelic team. Everybody has one, and it's something that not everybody gets to see, but I want you guys to take a good look at this, because this is something that's just precious and it's beautiful, and we usually don't get to see it with our two eyes. So that's a lot of fun. And then I want you to think about how many of you go through and read about angel stories, angelic stories, NDEs, all of these things that are beyond this 3D life. What do you think the draw is to that? Why do you think we're so pulled into that? And that's because our DNA is remembering. It's remembering, and it's kind of knocking at your door saying, hey, remember this. And that's where the fascination of life comes from beyond this 3D world.
So you might be saying, well, what's he doing? He obviously has a humanoid form. And this again is part of understanding the bigger picture of who and what we are as well, because we can choose to be basically an angel in service to others. That's something that we can actually choose. Again, there's many things that things depend on, such as our karma and the experiences that the higher self wants to achieve. And we've touched on all these things in many videos in the past, and we'll keep touching on them and going over. And please, again, share any comments, questions. With Cindy and I, again, we're not going off of what others theorize. We're going off of what we know and what we've experienced firsthand, because both of us have experienced stuff on a daily basis. I mean, this has just been our lives, but then again, it's because of what we've chosen to do. And how we've chosen to help humanity in these times of periods of great transition, and the breaking down of the dark societal structure that has kept humans really not understanding how the universe works. These beings, for instance, as Cindy was saying, you can accrue more and more help from these beings. It all depends on what you're doing. If we're living a life of self-service and self-interest, you won't necessarily find a lot of other beings coming in and trying to help you. If you're living a life that's one where you're really truly trying to help others, these beings will start to come and help you help others. This is how the universe works.
And your attitude is really important too when you're starting to wake up, looking at things and seeing the magic in it, instead of trying to write them off, or instead of trying to dismiss them, or bring up some sort of 3D logic. When you open your world to them, they come in. And just think about communication for a moment. If you're communicating with someone and suddenly you just start to dismiss them, and you're not talking to them, you don't really listen to what they say, you don't take into account their emotions, eventually that person is going to back away and they're going to go elsewhere. Our angels and guides are no different. They're waiting for us to see, understand, and acknowledge their presence. And the more we have this communication back and forth, the more they come into your life. So maybe thinking of it like that will help you guys open up to this world a little bit more.
Absolutely. And so, Cindy had an invisible friend much of her young life growing up in Idaho, Jerry. And yet, it wasn't until we were together so many years later that it came through that this invisible friend is a guide and has always been a guide. And not only that, but it's her great-grandfather. Her great-grandfather. So this could be Asher's great-grandfather. It could be his great-great-great-great-grandfather. It could be from a different lineage entirely. We don't really know his particular case. But the fact is that as we start to live our lives trying to help others, we will pick up many benevolent beings that will work with us. Some energy healers might end up having hundreds of beings that are helping them. I noticed a huge increase in the energy I was able to move through my body all of a sudden about 7 or 8 years ago. It was like the energy just turned up to a whole new level, and it really was the case that some big major guides started to take part in my energy work. And when Cindy and I got together, all the guides that were with her, all the guides that were with me, they all merged. And they're all working together now. So in our work, we're even doubly blessed. And that's a wonderful thing. As, both of us have had many lives doing this. This is actually our 6th go-round at going into a dark age and helping to illuminate a dark age. How do you know these things? Well, this is what comes about partly in the beginnings of coming into a Bronze Age, getting outside of a Kali Yuga. It's also stuff that is coming to everybody as your DNA is starting to ravel, as it has been unraveled, so to speak, because the energy coming from the sun and from the cosmos is healing so much of the damage that's been done by the controllers. But it's also from many, many hours, and yes, thousands of hours in meditation, practices like yoga, Qigong, meditation, and the like, where we're doing mantras, where we're actively communicating with entities on the higher densities. And I was watching some comments as I saw this story coming off of Godlike Productions, and I could see the conditioning in people where there are some saying, oh no, that might be a demon. And again, my whole take to Cindy is it breaks my heart how people have no discernment. And again, we were talking in the last video about, how toxic the foods are, how toxic everything you get from your D period, R period is. All these things are things that are intended to, number one, cut you off from the higher densities. And then the belief systems that have been put in place, they cut you off from the higher densities. They make you fear your own higher self. They make you fear beings like your great-grandpa that's actually trying to help you from the other side. They try to make you think that your great-grandpa is all of a sudden now a demon. And it's the demons that are telling you this in the first place. You have to build discernment. It is really very sad. It almost brings me to tears to see how blind the world is.
It is, and we should question things, though. At the same time, we should question. And it is fair to say, well, how do you know? And that's where you're going to listen to your body. You're going to listen to your heart chakra. You're going to listen to your solar plexus. You're going to listen to your essence and see if that lifts up, the chills and all the energies that I get when I see this is energies telling me this is a guardian angel. This is a being that is sent to watch and bring this child joy. So that's how we tell, but it does take some time to sit and start developing it and opening those doors to the other worlds around us.
And the reality is there are more guardian angels than there are humans incarnated on the planet. And there's, they say 8 billion humans right now. 8 billion humans on the planet, yet there are more beings that are not incarnation that are helping in everything that's going on right now than there are in incarnation. And that's something to get a grasp of, because when we come into here, again, it's not for the faint of heart. And again, you're a brave entity because you're choosing to learn, to grow, and this is one of the ways you can learn and grow the quickest. So, congratulate yourself for having the strength, the guts to actually even come into incarnation in a planet that's under the situation that this planet is in. And these beings are helping us from the other side and from the higher echelons. But again, there are aspects of us that reach up into these echelons as well. And when we look to Kirlian photography, which has verified the existence of chakras and auras, what we learn in the mysticism that has to be hidden in the West, and we also taught pretty much openly in the East, we find that, chakras are real. Kundalini energy is real. The energy body is real. These are things that science has verified now. And there is a difference, too. When you look at organic food, the life force that it's giving off is very much more intense and brighter and of a higher quality than the GMO, which looks half dead. We are beings of light. So maybe you can only perceive the physical body at this point in time. That might change. Maybe you could see the etheric. Maybe you could see a couple layers to the energy body. Everybody is different. I remember first seeing the life force, and like I've shared with you guys, my first thing to do was set up an appointment with the eye doctor. And I was in my early 20s when I first noticed the life force after meditating. But there again, Cindy has gotten that, because Cindy has lost hearing in one ear, her other senses have heightened. And this is the same thing. As our third eye gets better, in many cases, our physical vision might not be quite as good.
Mm-hmm. Our senses, when we come here in the 3D body, are very, very powerful. So if you do lose sense in something, that energy goes to the other senses. And when I was young, I could see things, and I couldn't tell the difference whether I was seeing them with my two eyes or my third eye. To me, it all just looked exactly the same. So, and when I did lose the hearing in my right ear, it's like I got even more of those senses, even more came into the higher realms or the different realms, and that I can see. And now I can see things, shapes in people's bodies, see the aura, see the energies change, and all kinds of different things. But if you're not having an understanding of what's going on, there's a lot of entities will take this advantage to just kind of make sure you're stifled or make sure you're shut down. This is a very delicate subject for me, because I hate to see when people are secluded and they're taken aside and told that they're not okay. And I don't like to hear people being told, well, you're just seeing demons. That's really scary, when the reality of it is you just have a network of beings around you. All you need to do is learn how to discern it. But also remember, those things that we put in our body can change the way we see things, and see things in different ways that might not help us.
And our energy bodies do extend into very high densities, and this is just something that the masses maybe are just beginning to start to understand to a little bit higher degree. But it will be just common in the decades to come that everybody will understand this. This has always been the way it is. It's been hidden purposefully. And what color is my aura? Well, that depends on what your emotions are at this particular moment. That might be totally different in an hour. You get some news about a favorite aunt that has passed on. All of a sudden, your aura is not even similar to what it was. We're always changing. We're ebbing and flowing. This is where we were alluding to the fact that one of the first things we need to do is to control our thoughts. And this is the last thing the controllers want. They want to control our thoughts. They don't want us controlling our thoughts. And now they're probably looking at some sort of way they could possibly demonetize this video at the very worst case. And they even tell you, too, when you're publishing this. Certain topics and stuff will limit the viewership. So in other words, they will block it from being viewed. Because, again, they're all about controlling you. Every aspect of you. And again, this is a reality. And every human has an energy body that at some level is going to appear to be very much like what Asher saw. And again, our consciousness just shifts from density to density. When the physical body is no longer serving us, the consciousness withdraws from the physical body. There's no more life in it. It starts to deteriorate under normal circumstances because it's being discarded just like it was a worn out garment. And that we also learn, in the Bhagavad Gita. That's just basic. It's 101. The soul is eternal. The vehicles are many. And the layers to us, they might be infinite as well. As you could see, some people conceptualize because they could see 7 different levels. Others can see even more. How far out does it extend? Ultimately, everything is one. So it extends pretty far. So we could see here, this from Barbara Brennan's work. And if you haven't read her work is really good and it's different. If you studied some Qigong and you want to look at something from a little bit of a different slant, she's very, very intuitive, very gifted healer, and she's given us some really good works. So I would check out her works as well if you want to go a little bit deeper. But you could see, again, we have these different layers to our bodies. And that goes on to a very, very high degree because ultimately we're all part of one living energy field, manifesting itself in an infinite number of different ways.
We are, and there's so many different layers of information for people to translate, and ultimately we are all doing a form of translating. And sometimes when people do have quite a lot of anxiety or they're anxious, that could be a sensory overload. And I always tell people when I see that, when I'm checking their chakras, I see that sensory overload, I tell them one thing that you really need to do is spend some time deliberately settling your senses. Turning off your senses, just even for 5 minutes a day, can bring you a lot of relief and a lot of ease. Shutting off the phone, the router, just for 5 minutes can allow those senses to finally come to a place of peace and help you ditch the anxiety just for even a little while.
As it starts to rain. So every single star again, just recognize that every single star again is a magnificent, intelligent being of a very high vibrational frequency because they are supporting so much life. We are not alone. In fact, you can't find a place where you could go to possibly be alone. You're never alone. This is one of the things that we need to change our perspective on. We are never alone in this. Never. There are teams that are always helping us. All we got to do is ask. If you haven't checked out our website, Evolutionaryenergyarts.com, please do. And you can see what some people have encountered, and we have dozens of people that have also given us reviews. I just haven't had a chance to put them up. And we do have to find time to restructure and add more in, add more information as well. And if you do want to reach out to us, do reach out at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com. We do have EEARTS at protonmail.com, but Proton Mail's moved, and in reality I've found out that Proton Mail gets way more spam than we do with Gmail. So we'll probably just eliminate Proton Mail at some point, as is the spam that goes there. is vast. But as always, guys, thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and also over at Patreon. We really couldn't do it without your support over there, as basically everything that you see on YouTube, it doesn't really cover anything.
No, so we really, truly, truly appreciate all of your guys' support in every way, shape, or form. And we wish you a very happy alignment day.
Yes. And did you want a ding?
I do.
Cindy's going to give us some dings and alignment dings, as again, sound is a frequency and sound can help us to ascend.
Okay, this is going to help attach you to your highest self. So I want you guys to think of yourself in a very positive manner. This is very good for rapid manifestation. So happy thoughts starting right now. And just to note, that was DNA repair. I hope you guys have a wonderful, happy, happy alignment day. And may you be blessed and enjoy this world that's been given to us and all those beings that are helping us live in it.
Yes, and it was just coming to me quickly to mention that you can just put your intention out there that I desire to work with my guides and guardian angels of the highest frequency so that I might be able to manifest in this life the highest possibility for this life, for the betterment of myself and for all those that I come in contact with.
Indeed.
Namaste.
Namaste.